that embryogenesis, that is formation of embryo. Okay, what happens? Development of zygote into embryo, that is diploid zygote. Development of diploid zygote into embryo. Okay, so the embryo, where it is developed? It is developed at the micropylar end. Clear? Why micropylar end? Because the first male gamete, it fuses with the egg cells, right? And it forms zygote. Clear? Which is at the micropylar side. Yes. And the zygote is further developed into embryo, which is at the micropylar end. Clear? Now, the growth of embryo, okay? The growth of embryo triggered through endosperm. Means what? We have seen that endosperm, okay? Development of endosperm. In that, I already told you that endosperm is a nutritive tissue. Means what? It provides nutrition in the growth of embryo. Correct?
Yes.
In the growth of embryo, the endosperm, which is a nutritive tissue, it provides nutrition for the growth of embryo. Clear?
Yes.
This one. Next, the embryonic development start after fertilization. Means what? After fertilization. In the fertilization, what happens? Zygote is formed. Correct? And what form?
Pen.
Pen is formed. Okay? But the actual embryonic development, it starts after fertilization. That is in the post-fertilization. Clear? Okay? In the post-fertilization, that means after fertilization, the actual embryonic development is start. Then the zygote, okay, it divides to form two-celled pro-embryo. Okay, two-celled pro-embryo. Zygote, okay, zygote which is in diploid condition. Clear? Okay, zygote which is in
Diploid condition.
diploid. Diploid means two set of chromosomes. Okay, right? It divides to form two-celled pro-embryo. Okay, the large cell, which is called as basal cell, and the small cell is called terminal cell. Clear? The small cell is called, the large cell is called basal cell or suspensor initium. Clear? Which is at the micropylar end. The pro-embryo is further divides into two cells, that is basal cell and terminal cell. Basal cell is actually called as suspensor initium or which is a large cell, okay, and it is occur at the micropylar end. And the terminal cell, which is a small cell, okay, is also called as embryonal initium, okay, and which is at the chalazial end. Clear? Pro-embryo is, there are two-cell pro-embryo, right? The first cell is called basal cell. The second cell is called the terminal cell. Basal cell is suspensor initial and the terminal cell is embryonal initial, which is a small cell. And this suspensor initial is a large cell, which is at the micropylar end. And this terminal cell, which is at the chalazial end. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, suspensor initial. Okay. This suspensor cell, it divides transversely. Okay? It divides transversely and it produces filamentous suspensor cells, which is 6 to 10 cells. There are 6 to 10 cells. Okay? Suspensor cells. It divides transversely and it produces filamentous. Filament like. We have seen filament is like anther. Correct? It transversely produces and it forms filamentous suspensor of 6 to 10 cells. Okay? Now the first cell towards micropylar end. Okay? It becomes solan. Okay? The first cell towards micropylar, its solans, which is called as hostorium. Which is called as hostorium. The first cell at the micropylar end, its solan. Okay? And that cell is called as hostorium. And the lowermost cell, okay, is called as hypophysis. Okay, which gives rise to part of radicle and root cap. Radicle is nothing but root. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Suspensor initial. Okay. What it does? It divides transversely to form filamentous suspensor cells. Okay, of 6 to 10 cells. There are 6 to 10 cells. The uppermost, that is the first cell, it divides. Okay, sorry, the first cell towards micropylar end, it becomes solan. Okay, and that solan cell is called as hostorium. And the lowermost cell, which is at the chalazial end, it is called as hypophysis. It gives rise to part of root. Clear?
Yes.
The cell which is at the chalazial end, okay, it gives rise to part of root. Root means we know.
Yes.
Okay. Now the suspensor cell. What is the function of suspensor cell? It helps in the pushing the embryo in the endosperm.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the suspensor cell helps in the pushing the embryo in the endosperm. Clear?
Yes.
Next, embryonal initial.
Yes.
See, what happens in the development of embryo? The zygote divides, right, into two cells, right? Which are those?
Basal cell and embryonal cell.
Basal and terminal,
Terminal.
right? Basal and
Terminal.
Basal cell is called
Suspensor
initial, and the terminal is called
Embryonal initial.
right? Embryonal initial is the smaller cell, right? And the basal cell, that is suspensor. Suspensor initial is the larger cell, which is at the micropylar end, and this cell is at the chalazial end. Clear this much?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, suspensor initial. We are talking about suspensor initial. This suspensor initial, it divides transversely, okay, to form 6 to 10 layers, 6 to 10 cells of filamentous structure. Suspensor filamentous,
Yes.
right? Clear this much?
Clear, ma'am.
Okay. The first cell is get solan. microtyler end. Okay, and it is called as hostorium.
Hostorium.
The first cell is hostorium.
Hostorium.
Okay, and the lowermost cells are called
Hypophysis.
hypophysis,
Physis.
which give rise to radicle
Radical. And root cap.
and root
Root
cap.
cap.
Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
This is suspensor initial.
Initial.
Now we are talking about embryonal
Embryonal
initial.
initial.
See what happens in embryonal initial. The embryonal cell, which is a small cell, right? It undergoes 3 successive mitotic division. We already seen in the female gametophyte, right? 3 successive mitotic divisions are there. That the one functional megaspore, it undergoes 3 successive mitotic division, and what it forms 7 cells, 8
8 nucleated
nucleated
structure.
like that. Said here the smaller cell, it undergoes 3 successive mitotic divisions to form octant. Okay, let's see. Suppose this is the embryo. Okay, after mitotic division, it forms. In the first mitotic division, there is a formation of 2. Okay, embryonal cell. Okay, it undergoes 3 successive mitotic divisions. Okay, this is the first one, second one, and
Third one.
third one. Clear? And it forms the stage octant.
Yes.
Octant means 8.
8.
Okay, it is 8 cells. Clear? Embryonal cell undergoes 3 successive mitotic division to form octant. Clear? Then the plane of division is at right angle to each other. Remember this word, right angle to each other. Okay, division कैसा होता है उसका? Right angle to each other. Right? So the lower tier of 4 cells of octant. Now the cells which is present at the lower side of the octant give rise to hypocotyle and radical. I already told you that radical is nothing but the root. Okay, hypocotyle. Hypo means at the lower side. Okay, so lower tier of 4 cells of octant give rise to hypocotyle and radical. Got it?
Yes.
Now the upper tier of 4 cells of octant. Okay, now the upper cells. Okay, upper 4 cells of the octant, it gives rise to terminal, that is fluid. Okay, and lateral, that is 1 or 2 cotyledons. Means what? Terminal means, see, the lower side of the octant, it gives rise to root, and the upper cell of the octant, it gives rise to fluid, that is shoot of the plant and root of the plant. Okay, and this is occur in 1 or 2 cotyledons. 1 or 2 cotyledons means what? Monopod or dipod. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
In embryonal initial, what happens? It undergoes 3 successive mitotic division to form octant.
Octant.
Okay? Octant. It is the plane of the division is right angle to each other, correct? And the lower tier of the 4 cells give rise to hypocotyle and radical. Okay? And the upper tier of the 4 cells are gives rise to terminal and lateral. Okay? Terminal. Terminal means what?
Upper side. South.
Okay? Terminal. We already seen terminal in a terminal cell. Okay? Embryonal is the terminal
Terminal
cell.
cell.
Correct? Pro-embryo gives rise to basal and
Basal
terminal.
terminal.
Right? At the terminal side, which is there? Embryo
Embryo
initial. Got it or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the terminal, it gives rise to shoot.
Shoot.
Okay. And the lateral cells. Okay. The lateral cells, it gives rise to 1 or 2 cotyledons. Either monocot or
Dicot.
Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now octant embryo means the whole development okay. Octant embryo, we already seen that octant embryo, right? In monocot and dicot plants, the development of octant is same. Okay?
Yes.
In both the plants, the development of octant embryo is same at this stage. Okay? But the further there is a differences in monocot and dicot.
Dicot.
So let's look what happens in monocot embryo. Okay? In dicot embryo and in monocot embryo, the formation of octant stage is same. Clear?
Yes.
We have already seen that octant. How it is formed? The embryonal cell undergoes 3 mitotic division to form octant.
Octant.
Right? It is same in dicot and monocot
Monocot.
up to octant stage.
Octant stage.
But the differences is occur in the later stage in monocot and dicot.
Dicot.
Okay, let's see what happens. The octant embryo, it changes. Okay, it further divides and form heart shape. It also gets divided and
Okay.
it forms horseshoe shape. Okay.
Yes.
Embryo development in dicot and monocot same up to octant stage. Let's look about monocot embryo. Okay, we already seen that in embryonal initial that at the terminal side, what is there? Plumule is there.
Yes.
See, at the terminal side, what is there?
Plumule.
And at the lateral side,
1
1 or 2 cotyledons.
cotyledons.
Either monocot or dicot. Okay. Now take a look about monocot embryo. In the monocot embryo, what happens? At the terminal side, there is a single cotyledon. Okay.
Yes.
Single cotyledon. And at the lateral side, the plumule present.
Present.
Okay. So see, this is the stages in embryo development in a dicot.
Dicot.
Okay, and this is the embryo development in
Monocot.
Okay, what happens? This is the embryo.
Embryo.
That is zygote or
Zygote.
whose pore?
Whose pore?
and the terminal cell. Clear?
Yes.
Zygote or embryo. This is oospore. It divides, right?
Yes.
And forms suspensor and the terminal cell. Proembryo. We already seen that the zygote divides into two cells. Proembryo. Correct?
Okay.
Proembryo. That is basal cell and the terminal cell. Clear?
Yes.
Basal cell, which is called as suspensor
Suspensor.
initial, right?
Yes.
And the terminal cell is called as embryonal initial, right? This suspensor initial and this is the terminal cell, which is called as embryonal initial. Okay, this is the middle cell. Okay, the suspensor cell divides transversely to form filament-like structure. Correct? 6 to 10 layers.
Yes.
Okay. This is the filamentous-like structure. Okay. Suspensor. Okay. See. This is a suspensor cell. Okay. The filamentous structure is inside the suspensor. Okay.
Yes.
And this is the
Terminal cell.
terminal side. Okay. In monopod embryo, what happened? At the terminal side, there is single
Single
cotyledon.
cotyledon.
Clear?
Yes.
And at the see, at the terminal side, there is a single
Single
cotyledon,
cotyledon.
and at the lateral side, sides lumen present. Here, these are diagrams in your book. Okay. Then only you get the idea.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In monopod embryo, what happens? At the terminal cell, it gives rise to single
Single
cotyledon,
cotyledon.
and the lateral side, it gives rise to
Plumule.
plumule. Correct? Okay. Now the single shield shaped cotyledon. Shield means the protective pattern. Okay, or the protective covering. Okay, the single shield shaped cotyledon is called scutellum. Okay, shield means covering of the cotyledon is called scutellum, and the protective sheath of lumen is called
Colectile.
colectile. Okay, colectile. Don't forget, this P is for lumen.
Okay.
Colectile. And protective sheet of radicle is called polyorhiza. Rhiza means root.
Okay.
Okay. R for radicle. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Single shield shaped cotyledon is called scutellum. Protective sheet of plumule is called colectile. Protective sheet of radicle is called polyorhiza. Okay. This much. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Clear?
Clear, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what happens after fertilization? Ovule, which is present inside the ovary. Okay. This ovule transform into seed, and this ovary transform into
Fruit.
root. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The embryo development in diploid and monopod is same up to the octant
Octant
stage.
stage.
Clear? The octant stage.
Yes. Clear, ma'am.
Okay. It occurs in the embryonal
Embryonic
initiation.
initiation.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. What happens? The embryonal initial cell, it undergoes three
Three
mitotic
mitotic
division.
division.
Okay. And it forms octant. Okay. Octant. And the plane of division is right angle to each other. Okay. The upper tier, the lower tier of the octant give rise to four cells. They give rise to hypocotyle and radical. And the upper tier of cells
Terminal.
give rise to terminal and lateral. Terminal to plumule and lateral to
One or two cotyledons.
Okay. In diploid and monopod, the development of embryo is same up to the octant
Octant
stage.
stage.
Right? The octant is further changes into heart shape
Heart shape.
and then
Horseshoe
shape.
shape.
Okay. And in monopod embryo, at the terminal side, there is a single cotyledon. Okay. And at the lateral side, plumule is present. Okay. The single shield of cotyledon is called scutellum. Okay. And the protective sheet of plumule is called coleoptile. Okay, remember the words coleoptile, coleorhiza, scutellum. Okay, it is very hard, but it is very important. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So after fertilization, what happens? Ovary transform into
Fruit.
seed.
Ovary.
Ovary transform into fruit and ovule transform into
Seeds.